Hi, everybody. We are back. So 2 weeks ago, I picked Preston Sturgis's The Lady Eve as my film in the chain, and now it is Wayne's turn to pick something thematically linked in some way to that. So, what have you picked?
Well, Nigel, I have picked Woody Allen's 1975 film Love and Death. So,
Another Woody Allen film.
yep, but it's lockdown. If we can't comfort watch Woody Allen films during lockdown, when can we? So I have got a good reasoning behind my pick. So Lady Eve, screwball comedy. I wanted to choose Sleeper, Woody Allen's Sleeper, because I think that is a bit more screwbally than Love and Death.
Yeah.
So what would you're the screwball expert? What is the
what the definition?
Yeah.
Well,
what are
I mean, I think it tends to be there tends to be an element of romance.
Yeah.
And an element
Check.
of farce.
Check.
And I think, and to some extent, that's probably. I think that was the Bogdanovich ingredients that I.
Is that it?
In my.
Well, I thought you were going to reel off a list.
Well, I mean, typically you don't also expect them to be, made probably in the 1930s and 1940s, but.
Yeah, I'd also add to that. See if you agree, because I'm not the expert. You are with screwball. Battle of the sexes element.
An element of that for sure.
Yeah. Bit of convoluted plot.
Possibly. Yep.
Maybe mistaken identities, which I guess comes under farce.
Yeah. Influenced by Ingmar Bergman. Is that on the list?
Yeah. Yeah. And Russian literature.
So Sleeper, you were talking about Sleeper.
Yes, yeah, Sleeper. So Sleeper is more screwball. It's got all those elements to it. But Sleeper wasn't available on streaming devices, as we checked, because we want to make this as accessible as possible. So I went to the next film. Sleeper was 1973. Love and Death was his follow-up film, 1975, and it's very much cut from the same cloth as Sleeper. So Sleeper is a neurotic New York Jew transposed to a futuristic society. He's frozen, isn't he? He wakes up in the future.
Yep.
Whereas Love and Death, neurotic New York Jew transposed to Tsarist Russia. Either the time traveling conceit is not there. He's he's not from the future, but he's got the same sensibilities as a New York neurotic, as the Woody Allen persona that we all.
He wears the same glasses.
Wears the same glasses, has the same haircut, makes the same jokes about masturbation, but in Tsarist Russia. So it's almost the anachronistic elements with Sleeper and Love and Death are very similar, and they also both star Diane Keaton, of course, the romantic foil. Both involve plots to assassinate leaders. In Love and Death is Napoleon. In Sleeper, I think he's called the Great Leader.
It's a long time since I've seen Sleeper, to be honest.
But you watched Love and Death.
I did watch Love and Death again, yes.
And it is quite screwbally, isn't it?
It's got its moments, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially Diane Keaton's amazing in it.
She's brilliant in it.
And it's just the stuff between them that's the most screwbally, really. So it's a bit of a tenuous link.
It's a tenuous link, and it's another Woody Allen film, but like I said,
it's lockdown.
We'll indulge you as always.
We're all dying. This could be it. So let's watch Woody Allen. And I think this could be. Maybe I said this. Perhaps I said this with Play It Again, Sam. But this could be his funniest early film. Did you laugh out loud? I laughed out loud a lot when I watched it the other day.
There were elements of it that reminded me, that felt very Python.
Okay.
Some of the gags. Oh, I've got a small piece of land.
Oh yeah.
And during the battle scene, there's a random flock of sheep that appear for no apparent reason. So yeah, no, I.
Well, I think that was him saying that's how the generals see the battle.
Right.
Yeah. So what have I got here in my notes about Love and Death? So just to put it in context. So it comes between Sleeper and Annie Hall. So it's quite interesting to think. Sleeper's quite broad. This is quite broad, but it's getting a bit more refined. And then to think Annie Hall was next, that's a massive leap from, because this is basically just a great comedy, isn't it? Every line is basically
It's
a
very
gag.
funny. Although I think ambitious in terms of, the period setting. He filmed it overseas, So actually, I think it's actually quite feels. I was watching it thinking, I mean, I have no real interest in watching contemporary Woody Allen films, and
No, neither have I. We should make that clear. I think the last decent film we did, but the last sort of stone cold classic, I say, is Husbands and Wives.
Right. So yeah, I sort of missed. It did make me think. This is very ambitious in its own way.
Yeah. And it riffs on the sort of great Russian literature, the title Love and Death, Crime and Punishment, War and Peace. What else? And there's references in it to The Gambler and The Idiot, which you don't need to get the references to.
Well, I've not read
to enjoy the film,
novel, so it suits me fine.
No, I'm not a big fan of Russian literature as well, apart from Nabokov. And did you spot the Nabokov reference?
No, they're butterflies.
Yeah. When he's going off to war and he's got the butterfly net and the butterflies, which I'm assuming that's a reference to Nabokov, or Nabokov, as it's pronounced. Other reference. Do you spot the persona?
Oh, I mean there's obviously
there's Bergman, Love and Death.
There's persona, and there's
the Seventh Seal with Death, the figure of Death,
who's dancing at the end.
Yeah. And Battleship Potemkin as well.
No, lots of references.
But you don't need to. They're there if you pick them up. It's kind of fun. And I didn't get them all because I've in my reading. There's other films which I hadn't realised it reference to, but it doesn't matter because, as I said, every line is a gag. There's great slapstick in this as well. Silent, great visual comedy. You forget Woody Allen was very good at visual comedy. He's sort of Chaplin-esque at times. He says his influence in this was Bob Hope. I haven't seen any Bob Hope films. I'm not suggesting you should choose a Bob Hope film as next, but just putting that out there. You see Groucho Marx there. One thing I noticed on this watch, which I'd never noticed before, and I don't know if it was intentional, but I noticed there was lots of doubling in gags, variations on jokes came up. And I don't know whether that was a sort of a conscious joke on the idea of the double, Dostoevsky's double, which I think may be given a little bit too much credit. I think more that it was
funny.
I think he had one idea and then he had it again later on. So I'm not going to, no spoilers, but what I noticed on this watch. So there's a joke about hair. And then later on, there's a joke about moustache.
Right.
There's a joke about half saint, half whore. And later on, there's another joke about halves as well. He says, I'm half something. Pairs of women. I'll leave that there. Cliches, like conversations in cliches happens twice. There's anachronistic discussions about a pawn shop, which is very funny. And then about a restaurant later on, where to eat. And then the philosophical discussion crops up twice as well. So I just thought that was interesting that there's these pairs of jokes.
Do you think it mainly because it worked first time and he thought he'd use it again rather than
or even if it was not even conscious, it's just another variation on the theme, which I've never noticed in other Woody Allen films that happening.
Right.
But apparently it's written very quickly. He was writing, he had a deadline and he was writing
Manhattan Murder Mystery, I think.
Yeah, it was a film set in New York with him and Diane Keaton as a couple who uncover a murder in their apartment, which went on to become Manhattan Murderers, but he couldn't get anywhere with it. And he wrote Love and Death very quickly. So maybe that's why the jokes, but they're funny jokes still, even if they do crop up again in slightly different form. But that thing about the Love and Death did make me think, because Love and Death's not Love and Death, Manhattan Murder Mystery. It's okay, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
That was more I saw. That was
Bit of a
Diane Keaton standing by Woody after his troubles, because that was everything had flared up. And
right. Everything had flared up first time around.
Yeah, the first time around. But I'm quite interested to watch it again with the thought that he was writing that at the same time as he was writing Annie Hall, because elements of that went into Annie Hall, and then so it might be interesting to view that as Woody Allen.
Well, I'll let you watch it and let me know what you think. I'm like I said.
Yeah. That was just the Annie Hall character and Woody Allen character. If they'd stuck together, this is them in 20 years' time.
Sure.
I'm interested in that idea,
and I'm sure others are too.
Yes, and that is it. That is all I have.
Where do you rank this in the Woody Allen?
Well,
film?
I think this is
briefly.
I think this is top tier.
Yes.
Woody Allen. It's a shame our tier system has been slightly soiled by the by the COVID tiers, but I'm gonna stick with them.
Yeah.
I think this is tier 1.
Yeah.
Woody Allen. Where would you put this?
I think I've really, really enjoyed watching it again. I'm not, I don't revisit Woody Allen films as often as you do. In fact, probably the last one I watched, I watched Papa Rosa Cairo for Film Club, but
That's good.
Annie Hall, a year or so ago when we watched it together. And I really enjoyed it.
When did we watch Annie Hall together?
With Joe, and remember she did not enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
in your flat.
The dread Mrs. Smith, to paraphrase Woody Allen.
One thing, funny watching.
Sorry, Joe.
Watching this right after Christmas, the score, Prof Geff score.
Yeah.
So I just had Greg Lake's "I Believe in Father Christmas" in my head.
Oh, okay.
Because he uses that same music that's in the.
Would you know what the score was meant to be?
I think it was, was it Tchaikovsky or another?
No, it's Stravinsky, and it wasn't working, which you can see.
One thing I wanted, surprised you haven't mentioned, is since you're such a Back to the Future fan, the actor who plays Napoleon, James Tolkien.
Of course it is. I did recognise him. Do you know who I thought it was?
No.
I thought that's someone off Grange Hill. That's one of the teachers off Grange Hill. And I didn't look it up, but of course it's the teacher from Back to the Future.
Mr. Strickland.
And get this then, right? Aubrey Morris.
I don't know who that is.
Aubrey Morris, Mr. Deltoid in Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
He plays the soldier when the hair. I've got a lock of my wife's hair.
No, lots of really funny.
He was also in. I just found out this morning. Deadwood.
Who was?
Mr. Deltoid, Aubrey Morris.
Okay.
I can't remember which, and I couldn't picture him in my head. So I'm gonna after this intro, I'm gonna go back and.
I will look that up.
Shame I didn't check that out before the intro, but.
Well, whatever.
Yes.
Cool.
We are where we are, as they say.
So, anything else do you want to say before we wrap up?
No. I'm just looking at my notes for notes I do have. Nope.
Okay.
Covered everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing where you're going to go after this.
Yes, quite a few themes. Existential angst, the Napoleonic era, assassination plots.
Bob Hope films.
Possibly Bob Hope films. I will have a think. Okay, well, thanks, Wayne. I enjoyed watching it again. Hope everybody else enjoys it too. And we'll do this again in a fortnight.
Brilliant.
Bid you well.